Let us see how to calculate the number of atoms in a unit cell. We know that a large number of unit cells will form a crystal lattice, and each lattice point is occupied by one constituent particle. So, to calculate the number of atoms present in different unit cells, we consider the constituent particle as an atom. So, that is why it is given calculation of number of atoms in a unit cell. So, we are going to find out what is the number of atoms present in a primitive unit cell, body centered, face centered and end centered unit cell. So, first let us calculate the number of atoms present in a primitive unit cell, or it is also called a simple unit cell or basic unit cell. So, first is number of atoms in primitive unit cell. Now, we know that a primitive unit cell has atoms at the 8 corners, and an atom at each corner or each atom at the corner is shared between 8 adjacent unit cells. So, at one corner, that corner atom is shared by 8 adjacent unit cells, which means only 1/8 of an atom actually belongs to that particular unit cell. And here you can see the primitive unit cell. We have 3 structures here. The first structure is called the open structure, second structure is called the space filling structure, and the third structure is called the actual portion of atoms belonging to one unit cell. So, we can say that an atom at the corner is shared between 8 adjacent unit cells, and 1/8 of that atom will only belong to a particular unit cell. So, if you look at this, you can see each atom is shared. How is that atom shared between 8 adjacent unit cells? 4 unit cells in the same layer and the 4 unit cells of the upper or lower layer. So, these are the 3 ways of representing a unit cell, and we get a more clear picture about the unit cell from the first structure, that is the open structure. Now, let us calculate the number of atoms present in primitive unit cell. So, in primitive unit cell we have 8 atoms at the corner. So, 8 atoms at corner, making 1/8 contribution. Each makes 1/8 contribution. So, 8 into 1/8, which is equal to 1 atom. So, what is the number of atoms present in a primitive unit cell? It is equal to 1 atom, because we have 8 atoms at the corner and 8 atoms will contribute 1/8 to a particular unit cell. So, 8 into 1/8 is equal to 1 atom. Now, next let us see the number of atoms present in body centered unit cell. Now, body centered unit cell has 8 atoms at the corner and 1 atom at the body center. Now, 8 corner atoms will 8 corner atoms is shared between 8 adjacent unit cells, whereas an atom at the body center belong to that particular unit cell, which means the atom at the body center is not shared by any other unit cells. So, let us calculate the number of atoms present in body centered unit cell. In body centered unit cell we have 8 corner atoms, and each atom gets 1/8 contribution. So, 8 into 1/8 will be 1 atom, and we have 1 body center atom. Atom at the body center is not shared, it belongs to that particular unit cell. So, it is 1 into 1, which is equal to 1 atom. Therefore, total number of atoms will be equal to 1 plus 1, 2 atoms. So, the number of atoms present in body centered unit cell is equal to 2 atoms. Now next let's calculate the number of atoms in face-centered unit cell. Third one, face-centered. Now face-centered unit cell means we have atoms at 8 corners plus atoms at 6 faces of a cube, and an atom at the face center will share with 2 adjacent unit cells, so that each unit cell gets 1/2 contribution. Okay, so let's calculate the number of atoms in face-centered unit cell. We have 8 corner atoms and they make 1/8 contribution. So 8 into 1/8 is equal to 1 atom. Now we have 6 face-centered atoms and they make 1/2 contribution per unit cell. So 6 into 1/2 equals 3 atoms. Therefore, total number of atoms per unit cell will be equal to 3 plus 1, 4 atoms. So the number of atoms in face-centered unit cell is 4. Now next let's see about the end-centered unit cell. End-centered unit cell has 8 atoms at the corner and they contribute 1/8 to a particular unit cell, and we have atom at 2 opposite faces. So each will contribute 1/2. So let's calculate. We have 8 corner atoms which contribute 1/8. So 8 into 1/8 is 1 atom, and we have 2 opposite faces, 2 atoms at opposite faces, and they contribute 1/2 to a particular unit cell. So 2 into 1/2 will be again 1 atom. So what's the total number of atoms? Will be equal to 2 atoms. So this is the calculation of number of atoms in a unit cell. Primitive unit cell has 1 atom, body-centered unit cell has 2 atoms, face-centered unit cell has 4 atoms, and end-centered unit cell has 2 atoms in it. Now next let us see an expression to find the density of a unit cell or density of a solid. Density of solids. Now the question usually asked from this is derive the expression D is equal to Z into N by A cube into Na. So this is the expression for density. You will be asked to derive this expression, or sometimes the question will be to calculate the atomic mass of the solid if the density and other unit cell dimensions are given to you. So let's see how to derive this expression, that is density of a solid. Now we know that the expression for density D, density is mass by volume, or here we have mass of unit cell divided by volume of unit cell, and volume of unit cell is equal to A cube, where A is the edge length, because we are considering the cubic unit cell. So the volume is equal to A cube. Now the mass of unit cell will be equal to number of atoms in unit cell into mass of each atom, or it is denoted as number of atoms in unit cell is denoted as Z into small n, mass of each atom. Now Z is number of atoms in each unit cell, and we already calculated the number of atoms. We have Z is equal to 1/4 primitive unit cell. Now Z is equal to 2/4 body centered unit cell. Z is equal to 4 for face centered, Z is equal to 2 for end centered unit cell. So Z means number of atoms in unit cell and mass of each atom denoted by small m. Now we have an expression for m, mass of each atom. Small m is equal to capital M by Na, where capital M is the molar mass. Capital M, this is molar mass, and Na is Avogadro number. So now we can substitute for mass by volume in the expression for density. Mass of unit cell is Z into small m divided by A cube. Now substituting for m, that is mass of each atom, as molar mass by Avogadro number, we get the expression D is equal to Z into m divided by A cube into Na. So this is the expression to find density of a unit cell or density of a solid. Z into m by A cube Na, where D is the density, Z is the number of atoms in unit cell, m is the molar mass, A is the edge length, and Na is Avogadro number. So if you know there are 5 parameters, if one of the parameters is known to you, you can calculate the unknown parameter. So this is how we find the density of a unit cell. Thank you.